Hi everyone, this is Vishen Lakiani, and I'm so excited to have you here on this masterclass on the topic of consciousness engineering. Now, I don't know how you found this class, but I probably can guess why you're here. You saw a video or you came to our landing page about this particular topic, which is essentially on how to accelerate your growth so you become the best version of yourself over and over and over again. Consciousness engineering is a technique I created when I was forced as the founder of Mindvalley to figure out how to take so much content in personal growth, distill it into its bare essence, and then apply it in my life. Sometimes it's like drinking from a fire hose, but what if you can assimilate all this content, all of this knowledge, all of this wisdom instantly so that your life constantly gets better? That is the trick. And this is what we're going to be talking about today. Now, normally when we film these masterclasses, we have these beautiful sets in Los Angeles or New York or London. Not right now because of global situation. So I'm filming in my studio. There's a green screen behind me and you're going to see slides. But I hope that doesn't take away from the quality of the information that I'm going to be serving up. So let's get started with consciousness engineering. Now I'm going to shrink myself a little bit over here so that you can see the slides behind me, but I will be right here in this corner available to you. So now let's get started with this idea of consciousness engineering. I remember seeing this quote on a friend's WhatsApp a couple of months ago, and I love this one. It said, "Grow so fast that your friends who haven't seen you in a month have to get to know you all over again." I love that idea. I love the idea of growing so fast that every month you don't recognize the person you were 4 weeks before. And there's a beauty in this because I believe that life is about growth. I believe that our souls are here for one thing only, and that is to fully learn, grow, and evolve. So the question though is, how do you grow so fast that you evolve into the next greatest version of yourself every month? And what this means is that every month you become better at taking care of your health, better at learning. You become more productive. Your skills in your relationship, in your parenting are getting better. But also as a result, everything around you is getting better. Your business is growing. Your income is growing. This is the trick. And this is what consciousness engineering is about. Now, why is this important now? Well, as you know, the world is going through a period of massive disruption. I was talking to a friend of mine, Peter Diamandis, and Peter Diamandis explained to me, he's a futurist and a very foremost American leader in technology. He is the guy who started private space travel. And he explained to me that between 2016 and 2022, we will see as much change in the world as 1900 to 2000. That's 100 years of change in 6 years. But it's accelerating, he said. Between 2022 and 2026, we're going to see 100 years of change in 4 years. The world is changing fast. We have to adapt. But right now, it's not just changing because of exponential technologies. It's changing because of climate destabilization, pandemics, political destabilization. We got to be aware and we got to be able to cope with this change. In short, we have to be upgrading ourselves rapidly. So let me first give you an introduction for those of you who are new to what I'm about and why this topic matters to me. My name is Vishen Lakiani, and I'm the founder of Mindvalley. I'm also the author of The Code of the Extraordinary Mind, which is a New York Times best-selling book. And and what I'm proud about for this book is that it hit #1 book in the world on Amazon for around 5 days in 2017. And I mean, not #1 book in its category, #1 on Amazon out of every single book. I put up that shot there as proof. And it was in this book that I introduced the concept of consciousness engineering. Very briefly, I became the #2 author in the world. You can see that's the behind my picture over there, you'll see the English and German version of the book. But why I think The Code of the Extraordinary Mind took off and became this book that was so successful is because of these ideas and what you're going to learn here. Now, in The Code of the Extraordinary Mind, I coined a wide variety of different terminologies and words and phrases to help people understand the world in a different way. This was a poster inspired by the book. And you're going to understand in a moment why words are important and why I coined different words. Words, when applied right, change your meaning schema of the world. They change how you view the world. You're going to learn more about that in a moment. Now, more recently, as in just a few weeks ago, my second book came out, The Buddha and the Badass. The Buddha and the Badass hit #1 on the Wall Street Journal, and many of the ideas of consciousness engineering are also infused in The Buddha and the Badass. The Buddha and the Badass looks at work and how can we improve the way we show up at work so that we bring our full selves to work, and as a result, we become better entrepreneurs. Our career takes off, our income takes off. A lot of the key essence of these books, these best-selling books, is the concept of consciousness engineering. More recently, I created a program on Mindvalley called Mindvalley Mentoring, and Mindvalley Mentoring was inspired by the idea of consciousness engineering. It's where I bring in many of the world's leading thinkers, and I work with them to understand how they see the world, and then I teach my audience how to model these behaviors into themselves so you grow quickly. Now, before I go further, for those of you who are new, I need to share this. And I do this not to impress you, but to impress upon you how powerful these ideas are. I have to share with you some of the people that I've worked with and what they have said about some of the ideas you're about to listen, because I want you to pay attention. I want you to take this seriously. Tony Gonzalez, one of the top football players in America, he's in the NFL Hall of Fame. He's been a huge fan of my books and my teachings. He recently mentioned some of my methodologies in the New York Times when he was asked about his personal growth practices. This is a quote from Camilla Hansen, Miss Sweden, a Swedish actress, and she has used some of these techniques to completely transform her life. Recently, I was shocked when I saw this happen. In Billboard magazine, Miguel, the R&B star, spoke about using my techniques, particularly a technique called the 6 phase, before he gets on stage for his massive concerts. And he actually shared this picture of him using this mental technique with his entire team. I've been invited to speak at Google. That picture on the left is me with one of the top leaders in the Malaysian government. I've been invited to train governments. That's me at the United Nations in Vienna. That's me at Facebook HQ. And that is hundreds of people who attend talks that I give. And I do these massive events around the world. Of course, right now, not many events are happening, but when they were, and again, a lot of this is rooted in the concepts of consciousness engineering. But I guess one of the things I'm most excited about is in September 2019, this 19-year-old Romanian girl, Bianca Andreescu, beat Serena Williams in the US Open. This 19-year-old girl became the US Open champion. She's one of my students. She's attended my classes. And when reporters asked her how she did it, and what were some of her personal growth practices, because she was so positive on court. When she beat Serena Williams, she ran to Serena to apologize. And so the reporters asked her, like, where's this coming from? And she said, where's my phone? Where's my phone? She picked up her phone and she pulled up my book, The Code of the Extraordinary Mind, the very book that introduced the concept of consciousness engineering to the world. So you're in for some powerful trainings, and you can see how some of the world's top performers have been using this. Now, why are so many of these stories from musicians or athletes? Well, when you're a musician, when you're an athlete, you know the little nuances in terms of your performance. If you're a footballer, if you're a basketball star, you have points that you regularly hit in a game. And when those points go down and those points go up, you know something has shifted. If you're a musician, you can feel that. And so very often I see that the people who are most talking about these tools are athletes or musicians, but these tools apply to anyone. In fact, the biggest group of people who apply my ideas are people like you, people who have jobs, have careers. 60% of them are managers, founders, entrepreneurs, or leaders. And they're using this to dramatically improve their way of life. So my commitment to you is that I'm going to give you my best. I'm going to go all in. I'm going to give you some powerful ideas because I want to see your life change. And I know these tools are so powerful that they lead to an incredible rate of transformation in my students. What I ask is that you are full in. You're fully in. You turn off your Facebook, you turn off your WhatsApp, you have a journal ready, you take notes, and you commit. You commit to taking action. You commit to applying this in your life. You commit to going further. You don't just passively watch. You actually commit to applying this in your life. Can I get a commitment from you right now? I want you to place your hand on your heart, and I want you to say, I want the best for my life. Repeat that. I want the best for my life. And so I commit to learn everything I can here, take action, and apply it in my life. So I commit to learn everything I can here, take action and apply it in my life so I can show up as my best self. Say that final line, so I can show up as my best self. Now, I know that sounds cheesy, but in learning psychology, when you make a commitment like this, it actually leads to better results. There's a whole science to it. More on that later. Now, first, another thing that's really important is a quick self-assessment. What I found is that if you want to learn something, if you want to transform, you first have to know where you are. This becomes a marker so that you know where you're going to be. So I'm going to ask you a few questions. Now, I want you to rate yourself on a scale of 1 to 5. 1 to 5 means 1 means you strongly disagree. 5 means you strongly agree that you are shining in this level. Let's go with the first question. How fast are you transforming? Now, if you give yourself a 5, it means that literally, that quote I shared in the beginning, every 4 weeks, your friends who haven't kept in touch have to get to know you all over again because you've become a new person. They're commenting on how you look and how radiant you are and how your dressing has changed and how your health has gotten better. Every month you are growing in your career. That is a 5. Number 1 means you are stagnant. You are basically not growing. And you sense this and you're feeling frustrated about that. Now, the second question, which is, are you aging younger? So what this means is that as the years go on, you're actually seeing your health improve. A lot of people, and this is a really big mistake people make, they allow themselves to age. But what if you could create certain techniques in your life where every year your musculature, your health, your eyesight, your hair is actually getting healthier? You're going to learn how to apply this level of thinking and how your mind can truly influence your body. I wanted to show you a picture of myself from some time back. That's me in 2015 versus me in 2019. I'm going to make the video version of me invisible for a moment so you can see the slides. And you can observe the shape of my face. I actually went from 22% body fat to 15% body fat, and I've been getting healthier and healthier since then even. And part of the reason for this is the application of consciousness engineering to health. These are some of the results that people are seeing. So let me make myself reappear here and let's continue. Rate yourself on number 2. Now, number 3, your personal vision evolution. Rate yourself on how rapidly is your personal vision evolving. This means, how are you growing in terms of your desires, your goals for yourself, the things you expect from life? All of us have what is called a personal vision. And to some people, it might be maybe live in an apartment that's 2 bedrooms and have a steady 9-to-5 job. To others, it might be start a company, travel around the world in business class, be able to spend a month on a beautiful paradise beach every year. How rapidly is your personal vision growing and getting bigger and bigger and bigger? I remember there was a time when I didn't have the life I have right now. Even buying a single airplane ticket would have been a challenge. Then I developed a personal vision around travel. But I would look at the people in business class and I would envy them and I would think I will never be there. And now I fly everywhere business class because my personal vision is expanding and expanding and expanding. It means that you hit a new level, and so you expand the vision of what you want to see in your life. If you're at a 5, it means every year you are setting newer, richer goals for yourself because you're achieving your goals so easily. And if you're at a 1, it means your personal vision today is the same it was 5 years ago. It hasn't really evolved much. Number 4, your career evolution. Now you'll notice plus 50%. What this means is that your income, or if you are an entrepreneur, your business revenue is growing by 50% year on year. That's what you can give yourself a 5 for. If it's not, then you're at a 4 or a 3. If you're not growing at all, you're at a 1. If it's shrinking, give yourself a 1. But you want to aim for 50% year on year growth. That's a 5. And finally, your money and income growth. What this means is that your output per hour of work is growing by 50% every year. It means every year you are 50% wealthier. Think about that. That may sound like an impossible dream right now, but it is doable and people have gotten there. What this means is that every year you're earning you're 50% richer. If you are at that level, give yourself a 5. If not, give yourself anywhere from a 1 to 4. So these are some of the questions that you want to rate yourself on. Now, we're going to come back to this in a moment, and you're going to see towards the end of this training why being able to assess yourself like this is so important, because you're going to learn some of the tools to get you to a 5 in all of these areas. But first, I want to share with you how consciousness engineering as a methodology came to be. That's me in New York City in 2002 or 2003. I don't remember the exact date, but I just moved to the city and I was starting out my career. And I had quit my job at that point and I decided to become an entrepreneur. But I didn't have that many, back then in 2003, I didn't have any venture capital. I didn't have any investments. And worse, I had lost all of my money in failed ideas. And so when I was starting this company called Mindvalley, I had to figure out a way to become good at what I was doing really fast. Now, to make matters worse, I lost my US visa. And even though I started out the company in New York, I had to relocate to my country of birth, Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia, all the way on the other side of the planet. And I was building Mindvalley, which today is an American company, building it from Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia. I was disconnected from the people I went to college with. I was disconnected from my business partners. And Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia back then was going through massive brain drain. The smartest people were leaving the city to better economies like Canada or Hong Kong or Great Britain. And so I didn't really have access to great mentors. So I decided if I wanted to learn in the absence of access to all of these mentors, I need to get creative. And I decided to create an idea called the Brain Exchange. So what happened was this. One day, I was attending a seminar, and this was a seminar on digital marketing. I was just new at digital marketing. I hardly knew anything about it. And I really wanted the teacher of this seminar to just help me with a couple of problems, just help me with my website so it could convert a little bit more. Back then we were selling meditation CDs. This, yes, was the era of CDs, but I couldn't afford him. So I was young. I stood outside the seminar door waiting for this man to exit. He was teaching a seminar in Kuala Lumpur. He was this big American speaker. And I went out to him with a piece of paper and I said this, I'm like, if you help me, I'm an engineer and I build websites. If you can just advise me on this, I'll build your website. I will build I'll design it, I'll build it, I'll do anything you need because I know how to build a website. What I don't know is digital marketing. If you can advise me on digital marketing, you have a free programmer. So I took a skill I knew, building websites, and I wasn't even the best at building websites, but I knew a little bit about it. And I traded with him. We did a brain exchange. I built a website for him, and in turn, he spent 4 hours teaching me digital marketing. 4 hours teaching me digital marketing. What he taught me is how to create online webinars. Guess what? That's what I'm doing right now. I created my first online webinar 4 months later, and that online webinar changed the trajectory of my business. We grew 400% that year. 400%. Now it all started because I couldn't afford this expert, but I exchanged my knowledge in my brain with his knowledge in his brain. He mentored me for 4 hours. I built him a website. It was the best trade I'd ever done in my life. And then I thought, well, this is really interesting. Can I do this with more people? So I started thinking, what are skills? What are ideas I wanted to learn? And I started going out there and getting access to different brains that inspired me. I got on a call with Ariana Huffington, and I spoke to her about health and wellness and balance. I got on a call with the biohacker, Dave Asprey, with America's #1 philosopher, Ken Wilber, with Peter Diamandis, with people like Michael Bernard Beckwith, the incredible spiritual teacher. And all of these people shared knowledge with me and made me smarter at what I was doing. As a result, some remarkable things happened. That is my office when I first started. That's literally 2005. I couldn't even afford rent. So my father gave me a back room in his warehouse in a ghetto part of town. We had just a few employees. You can see how crummy the office is. but we started evolving so fast as a business. This is my office last year. Last year, my office made Inc. magazine top 10 world's most beautiful offices. It's called the Temple of Light, and it is incredible to see. But I was able to go from a crummy office in the back of a warehouse to this gorgeous office because I suddenly had access to all of these great minds. And how was I doing it? Brain exchanges and networking. More on that in a moment. Now, this didn't just affect my career, it affected my health. This is my transformation. These are pictures I took of my body, and I'm being fairly vulnerable here. March 2016, I woke up and I turned 40 years old in January, and I decided I need to do something about my body, and this is how I transformed my body. And a lot of the ideas and the people who gave me these insights or people I did these mentoring classes with, and you're going to learn more about that in a moment. Today, I'm proud to say that I'm a CEO and a founder of a highly successful company. We are currently moving towards a NASDAQ IPO. And I would never have been able to get here, never would have been able to get here without the access to the knowledge that I was able to get through these ideas. So there are two things I want you to understand here. Consciousness engineering is about rapidly assimilating knowledge, but there are also tools to bring that knowledge to you in a really efficient way. We're going to look at both. We're going to look at two tools to bring knowledge to you, and then we're going to look at two ideas to assimilate the knowledge. This is what we're going to cover in this class. Now, first, let's talk about this, the barriers to transformation. If transformation is easy, why do so many people stay stagnant? Well, there are a couple of problems that come up. The first is we don't have access to the right knowledge. In other words, we have books, we have, maybe you have access to a gym with a fitness instructor, maybe you have YouTube and you have some YouTube videos, but you don't have access to the right knowledge. Do you know that even in a field like fitness, the difference between optimized exercises, which is a fairly new science, minimum effective dose, and regular exercise is almost like 10 times. Do you know that in terms of healthy eating, most diets fail, but there is one particular diet methodology that I found that creates incredible results? That was how I transformed my body. Do you know that in terms of spirituality, there are certain types of meditation, certain types of mental processes that you can bring in that very rapidly create massive changes? These were some of the processes that I shared with those sports stars and those musicians that whose press articles I shared with you earlier. The right knowledge is powerful. The right knowledge can transform the way you show up in life. Many people simply don't have access to the right knowledge because in our world there are so many books, so much content. How do we know what's right? Second thing is the right mentors. What this means is having access to the right incredible people who can make you a better version of yourself. The third is the right network. What this means is being able to access the right minds, the right people, the right friends and connections that help you grow. Today we know that studies have shown that we tend to model and emulate the behavior of the people closest to us. For example, if your friends, if the 5 friends closest to you are obese, you are more likely to be obese. If your friends are fit, you're more likely to be fit. If your friends are entrepreneurs, you're more likely to become an entrepreneur. We are the sum of the 5 people closest to us, said the philosopher Jim Rohn. And the final thing is knowing the right system. So you have the network, you have the mentors, you have the access to knowledge. What's the right system to assimilate all of this in your being? We'll be talking about that as well. The system I created is called consciousness engineering. Now, consciousness engineering is really about the science of transformation, and there is a formula for transforming a human being. The formula looks something like this. It says cognition plus models plus systems. What this means is that if you want to transform in any area, let's say it's your health, or it's your wealth, or it's your career, it's cognition, which means what you're learning, plus models of reality. Your models of reality are your beliefs. And third, your systems of living. Your systems of living are your practices. Many people stop at cognition. So you read a book, boom, that's cognition. But you don't really transform because you haven't paid attention to changing the beliefs in your mind. And you haven't transformed because you haven't paid attention to applying and changing your daily habits and practices to take on these new ideas. This is why academic theorists say that the way you create transformation is all three: cognition plus models plus systems. You need to bring all three of these into your life. When you do this, magical things happen. This is essentially the formula that I brought into Mindvalley for all our programs. And this is why Mindvalley is getting such, incredible growth, incredible credit from leading thinkers. Recently, for example, Naveen Jain, I want to play this video for you. Naveen Jain, who is one of the most successful entrepreneurs in America. He is the first private citizen sending robots to the moon. He's the founder of Viome, the gut microbiome testing company. Recently, in a call, this is what he said about Mindvalley. And keep in mind, this is the content that you're being exposed to right now.
So one day, Mindvalley is going to be the next Stanford or Harvard of education, because you're teaching people how to take bite-sized information, how to connect the dots in a ways that have never been connected.
Okay, now the reason Naveen said that is because when you look at what you're about to learn over here, most universities right now are teaching you facts, they're teaching you cognition, but universities don't really teach you new beliefs, nor do they teach you new habits to bring into your life so that you show up in a better way. When you put all of those together, this is truly the recipe to living your best self. So, this is what we're going to be covering in this class. We're going to go from pure cognition to actually molding the beliefs in your head, changing your daily practices so that you transform remarkably fast. Now, first, some of you may be thinking, I'm not a pro athlete, I'm not a successful entrepreneur. Does this apply to me? So I want to just share with you a couple of myths so we can get that out of the way right now, so you know how easily accessible these tools are. The first myth is, I'm not smart enough. What you're going to learn doesn't require a brilliant IQ. And also keep in mind that there are over, right now they say, 12 or so different forms of intelligence. And what you're going to learn here, and maybe you're not good at math, maybe you're not good at verbal, it doesn't mean that you're not going to understand some of the ideas over here, because we're talking about belief shifting. That has less to do with intelligence and more to do with your ability to rapidly gain insights, wisdom, reflect, and change the way you view the world. Secondly, I don't have time. And you're right, today we're all busy, and there's so many things that we have to dedicate our time to. What you're going to learn here is how to rapidly evolve yourself in what is called net time. That's spelled N-E-T, no extra time. Net time is when you're commuting. Net time is when you're pushing a grocery cart down an aisle. Net time is when you're on a treadmill. You're going to learn how to upgrade yourself in net time, in around 10 to 20 minutes a day. Third, overwhelmed. Very true. Recently, I did a survey of my audience, and right now, with everything happening in the world, one of the biggest feelings that people are facing is this feeling of just being overwhelmed. You're going to learn how to simplify ideas, how to basically understand ideas in a really elegant way so overwhelm disappears and you can directly integrate new forms of knowledge into your life. And finally, if overwhelm was the biggest thing people were saying that was plaguing them right now in the world, number 2 in my survey of our audience was focus. People couldn't focus, and there's a reason for that. When we're facing anxiety, it disrupts our focus. So maybe you can't focus, but one of the things that we build into our systems are ways of education that sucks you in. We make education as addictive as a computer game. So you are going to be able to focus. Just like if you're watching a good show on Netflix, you usually can focus on the plot. So just imagine where your life might be like if all of this worked for you. If you had access to all the right knowledge for every dimension of being human, your career, your love life, your relationships, your confidence, your health. If you had the right mentors available to you at the click of a button, if you could access incredible brains like I could to grow your company, grow yourself, if you had access to the right connections, if you could, like, let's say, for example, click an app and see people around you in your city that you can network with and do a brain exchange with, maybe meeting in a cafe. And what if you had a right system so that all of this knowledge that's coming to you from the right mentors, from the right networks, you could directly assimilate it in your life in the most peaceful, optimized way. This is what you're going to learn before this class is done. So let's get started with how to accelerate your evolution with consciousness engineering. Now, the first thing, of course, is we got to address the big question. What is consciousness? We're going to come to that in a moment. First, I want to take you on a journey through history to understand where we came from and what our consciousness is actually made up of. You see, there's this famous book called Sapiens by Yuval Noah Harari. It was one of the best-selling books of the last couple of years, and it spoke about human history. And one of the things that Harari spoke about is that Homo sapiens were not the only species of human living on a planet. There was Neanderthals, there was Homo habilis, but all of these other species of Homo died out except for human beings, Homo sapien. What was it that made Homo sapiens thrive? Now, what Hariri says is that at some point, the Homo sapien originated a tool called language. Other species could not communicate in languages as adept as we could. So compare us to an ape, right? Apes can warn another ape that there's a tiger by the riverbank by making certain sounds, but a Homo sapien could say, Glog, don't go by riverbank. Tiger there, saw tiger 3 suns ago. Go to forest to gather food. So you see the complexity of that language. But what happened is that, as Hariri mentions in his book, as this language evolved, it created a revolution. The big revolution wasn't that Homo sapiens invented fire. We created something called the cognitive revolution. Now, the cognitive revolution basically meant that we learned how to stack on layers and layers and layers of languages. These languages allowed us to create culture. They allowed us to create what we today call the modern corporation. They allowed us to create laws. And all of this means that we started living in 2 different worlds. So you see this glass of water? This is water. It's delicious. I love my sparkling water. Water is absolute truth. Everyone can agree that that's a glass and that's water. It's hard. The glass is hard. The water is wonderful to drink. We all agree on that. But we also live in a world of relative truth. And the world of relative truth exists only in our heads. We, therefore, live in 2 worlds. Let me give you an example. Rocks, the sun, the moon, absolute truth. All Homo sapiens agree on that. But then, what about words like God? What about words like meditation? What about words like love? What about words like happiness? These mean one thing to you if you grow up in the United States. They could mean something completely different if you grow up in Thailand. For example, let's take the word sadness. There's a famous story about how in the Tahitian language, there is no word with sadness. Rather, there's a word, the closest word to sadness in Tahitian is a word that basically means to feel weak or lethargic as if one has the flu. Words are created by our culture, but they become real to us. And so absolute truth is what is undeniably true. Relative truth is where a lot of human existing is happening. But this is what we fail to understand is completely made up. I want to play for you this beautiful clip, and you might recognize him. This man, Steve Jobs, had a wonderful, wonderful quote on this topic.
When you grow up, you tend to get told that the world is the way it is, and your life is just to live your life inside the world, try not to bash into the walls too much, try to have a nice family life, have fun, save a little money. That's a very limited life. Life can be much broader once you discover one simple fact, and that is everything around you that you call life was made up by people that were no smarter than you. And you can change it. You can influence it. You can build your own things that other people can use. Once you learn that, you'll never be the same again.
I love the wisdom of Jobs, and I love that quote. Everything around you that you call life was made up by people no smarter than you, and you can change it, you can influence it. Once you learn that, you'll never be the same again. Welcome to the culturescape. The culturescape is a word I coined in my book to describe the tangled web of human habits, rituals, beliefs, ideas that we are swimming in. But like a fish swimming in water, we don't know we are in this intangible world of existence. This is where religion sits. This is where spirituality sits. This is where human constructs, such as how we define what is an ideal relationship, how we define how to take care of our kids, how we define concepts like love, passion, parenting, work, they all sit. And different people don't always agree on what these words mean. Work for you could be painful, drudgery to earn a paycheck. Work for someone else could be moving towards your mission and giving your gifts to the world. But how you start to view the cognitive world, how you start to view the culturescape, makes a massive difference in how you evolve. But it gets weirder. Can you see something if you don't have a word for it? Could the Tahitians understand the concept of sadness? Or perhaps they didn't get as sad as we do. Words also define how we see things. There's a famous study. This is done with the Himba tribe in Namibia. Now look at that screen, and you'll notice that it's a circle of green squares, and one square is blue. The Himba tribe have no word for the color blue. And when they were asked to pick the blue square, they couldn't see it. You can see that blue square, I bet. But the Himba people couldn't. The Himba, however, have 19 words for the color green. So when presented with this, they could easily spot the square that's a slightly different shade of green. Look at that square that's circled. Do you notice how the shade is different? Most people can, but the Himba can. They have 19 words for the color green, but they can see that. No words for the color blue. What this means is that, can we really see something if we don't have a word for it? And the other question is, if we do create new words, do we see new nuance? Do we see new opportunities? Do we see new aspects of human existence? And so I'm going to give you a word that helps liberate you, and a word that will help you see things that might have been holding you back. That word is called a brule. I coined this word in my book. People love it. And the t-shirts with the word "break the brules" became really popular. Here's what a brule is. A bullshit rule. A brule is nothing more than a rule that we have chosen to believe to simplify our understanding of how the world works. Brules are bullshit rules. Brules are rules that we adopt to simplify the world so that we can make decisions faster without truly thinking. But the people who are doing the greatest work in the world are brule breakers. And to step out of the culturescape, you have to break the rules. You have to question the bullshit rules of every dimension of human living. What should work really be like? What should relationships really be like? What should my health really be like? When you do that, you start seeing new opportunities to transcend. In my book, I drew this diagram. I'm going to explain it to you. So imagine the circle as subset of culture. That circle, that culturescape, is the overall assembly of culture in your country, in your city. Everyone else fits within this culturescape. But every now and then, a misfit, a rebel, a troublemaker goes to the edge of the culturescape and decides to push that edge outwards. He's labeled at first a misfit, but when that edge goes outwards, he's created a dent in the universe. He becomes a visionary. Think about Steve Jobs when he came up with his visions for changing the world. Think about Peter Diamandis when he decided to make space travel affordable to all. Think about all the great revolutionaries, all the great thinkers. Think about Martin Luther King when he fought for civil rights. All of them made a dent in the universe. But in the beginning, they were rebels, they were troublemakers, they were misfits. You see, the rules are meant to be broken. Outside of physics and the rule of law, all other rules are illusions that we have chosen to believe. Smash the ones that no longer serve you. Now, I'm not saying disrespect the rule of law. I'm not saying disrespect the rule of physics. What I'm saying is question the rules of the culturescape, because not all of those rules make sense. So you have a word, brule. Now I want to give you a tool to break the rules. And that tool is consciousness engineering. We're now going to cover these 5 steps of understanding the concept of consciousness engineering. First, you're going to understand what it's about. Then you're going to understand how to upgrade your models of reality. Then you're going to understand how to refresh your systems of living. Then you're going to speed up this upgrading and this refresh rate by creating brain exchanges and creating learning networks. So Buckminster Fuller, the famous philosopher thinker, said, if you want to teach people a new way of thinking, don't bother trying to teach them. Instead, give them a tool, the use of which will lead to a new way of thinking. That tool is consciousness engineering. And once you understand this, it's going to change the way you learn. It's going to change the way you absorb information. It's going to change the way you view your life. So let's get started. Consciousness engineering is about how to rapidly engineer and upgrade your consciousness so you evolve remarkably fast. And it means questioning the rules of the world around you. What bullshit rules do you believe about relationships, about parenting, about exercise, about eating, about aging, about work, about leadership? When you question the rules, you free yourself to move to the next level of your evolution. So let's look at some of these rules. I used to believe that when I turned 40, I would start feeling old. Now, of course, I had that belief when I was 20. Today, I'm 44. I'm fitter and I have a better body than I did in my 20s. A rule and a belief model changed. But part of that also came because of transformation. I, as a college kid, was in Michigan. Michigan is one of the states in the US with highest rates of obesity. For breakfast, you know what I ate? Pop-Tarts. I thought Pop-Tarts was an actual food item. Turns out it's junk food. Today I understand the difference between organic food, between junk food, between insidious food marketing. I used to believe that divorce was awful, it was bad, it was a mark of failure, until I upgraded my model of reality and I realized I was married for 19 years, and when my wife and I decided to part ways, we no longer applied a traditional divorce. We did something called conscious uncoupling, a new model, a new set of rules, and it was done in the most kindest, beautiful, elegant way with no lawyers, and we are friends today. Exercise. I used to think that I had to go to the gym 3 times a week to build muscle. Today, I've understood super slow strength training, and I know that you actually build better muscle, higher quality, optimized gym routines in 20 minutes a day, 20 minutes a week when doing exercises right. As I've upgraded these rules, I've transformed my health, I've transformed my work, I've transformed my career, and tens of thousands of Mindvalley students have done the same. But what you got to do is start questioning the rules and understanding that in almost all of these areas, plus hundreds more areas, what you learned in school, what you learned from parents was not necessarily the right way. What you learned was nothing more than tradition. But very often we are afraid to break tradition. I love this Instagram quote. Tradition is nothing more than peer pressure from dead people. The way you choose to marry, to love, to show up, to work. You don't have to follow the traditions of people before you. As Steve Jobs said, everything around us was made up by people no smarter than us. And you can question things, you can change things. And when you learn to do that, your life will never be the same again. So how do you transform all of these dimensions of your being? Remember the formula for human transformation. Most people stop at cognition, but the formula is cognition plus upgrading your models of reality or your beliefs and upgrading your systems of living or the way you do things. Let's go deeper and let's look at models of reality and systems for living. So this is a computer. Since we're talking about Steve Jobs, let's pick a Mac as a computer. This is what one of the early Macs looked like, maybe 30 years ago. Actually, this is probably 40 or 50 years ago, I guess. This looks like a 1982 Mac. Now, this is what a Mac looks like right now. I'm recording this on a Mac that looks like this. The Mac has evolved significantly. And there's an idea here that we can pay attention to. So computers evolve, and I'm a computer engineer. And I learned this in school. If you want to build a better computer, you upgrade the software or you upgrade the hardware. So you might go from a low resolution monitor to a high resolution monitor, from a mouse with a cord to a cordless mouse. But you also upgrade the software. You install new apps. If you want to do more with your iPhone, you might upgrade from an iPhone 8 to an iPhone 11, but you also might upgrade the apps on your iPhone. Now, the human mind is rather like that. Think of your models of reality as your hardware and your systems for living as your software or your apps. So here's what it looks like, okay? To upgrade yourself, just like you upgrade your computer, you need to upgrade your model of reality. Your model of reality are your beliefs. Your beliefs are like hardware. Why? Why do I use that comparison? Because if you want to upgrade your computer, you can swap out an old keyboard and swap in a new keyboard. You can swap out, you can toss away your old mouse and bring in an upgraded mouse. You can change your monitor. You can give away your old monitor and bring in a higher resolution monitor. You can do the same with your models of reality. As you learn, as you grow, as you evolve, you swap out old beliefs and you swap in newer beliefs. Beliefs are like hardware. Everything runs on these beliefs, but the beliefs are replaceable. That's the important thing. There was a moment when I was 19 and I swapped out my belief in religion and I installed a new belief on spirituality. That transformed my life. What were beliefs that you changed, swapped out? And what was a new belief that you swapped in? Think about that. Write it down. You see, the act of getting wisdom, the act of getting wiser is essentially a replacement of outdated beliefs with newer beliefs as you move through life. Most people do it unintentionally. They don't actively go out and think about replacing their beliefs, so transformation is slow and unpredictable. But the people who do, these are the people who are transforming really fast. Now, if beliefs are hardware, the next thing you want to look at is the software, systems for living. Systems for living are software. These are the apps. So you might upgrade your Mindvalley app on your phone. You might upgrade your Instagram app on your phone. Your systems for living, your software are how you do day-to-day things. The apps on your phone help you do day-to-day things, whether it's email your friends or manage your to-do list. But we have systems for living, which are software for how we run our life. The way you run a meeting, the way you make love, the way you parent your child, the way you cook, the way you exercise, the way you eat, the way you take care of your health. All of these are systems for living. Most people stay with the same system for the longest time. But scientists, thinkers, experts in personal growth are constantly evolving bigger and better systems. And when we can learn these systems and inject them in our life, we can transform our daily habits. For example, what are some systems that some of you might be experimenting with? If I look at the personal growth movement, systems which are really gaining a large footing right now because they seem to work and people are flocking to them, might be things such as breath work, intermittent fasting, biohacking, sleep optimization. People are starting to see how all of these new systems transform your life. So you want to be aware of the new systems which are emerging and integrate that in your being. This helps you transform. So now you understand consciousness engineering. You understand that you are rather like a smartphone. And if you want to upgrade yourself, you upgrade the hardware, which is your beliefs, or you install a new app, which is your system for living. Let's go deeper. Let's talk about upgrading your hardware or your models of reality. Models of reality are your beliefs, both conscious and unconscious, about how the world works and your relationship to the world. You see, the funny thing about beliefs is that what we believe to be true ends up being true. But you didn't get to choose your beliefs. Your beliefs were programmed into you. They were programmed into you from your culture, from your traditions, from your religion, from your parents. None of this was insidious. It just happens. Yuval Noah Harari famously said that most animals are born fully formed, but human beings are born like molten glass. You can mold them into anything you want. This is why we can raise our kids to be capitalists or socialists, to be an atheist or to be a fundamentalist. We are born like molten glass and our culture molds us. What we don't often understand is just how different beliefs are across cultures and how beliefs affect us. This is the Achuar tribe. They were discovered in 1979 in the Amazon rainforest. I've spent some time with the Achuar tribe, I really appreciate their culture because they preserve and protect Amazon rainforest land. And in one of my journeys to go and spend time with the tribe, I engaged in a ritual. So I took this photo on my phone. This must have been 2009, I believe. This is at 4 a.m. in the morning. So the Achuar are a dream culture. Their way of life is so different from the way we live in the modern world. So Achuar believe that we communicate in our dreams. They grew up without television, without books, and how they communicate with each other is through dream telepathy. And so what happens is that at night before going to bed, the Achuar, as when the sun goes down, because there's no electricity there, they go to bed. When it gets dark, they wake up at 4 a.m. when the birds of the Amazon start making their sounds, and they gather around a campfire. Now you see the bowls? What they are drinking there is a type of medicinal tea that makes them purge. because the water that they drink in the Amazon is dirty, they don't actually drink water. They drink this tea, which makes them vomit out all the bacteria, all the stuff in their gut. So they clean their gut. Then they gather around the fire and they talk about dreams. They discuss what happened in their dreams, and they understand the meaning of the dream. Another interesting thing about the Achuar is that they don't drink water at all. You would think that drinking water is absolute truth. They don't. They drink a substance called chicha, which is made from the root of trees. The women of the tribe take out these roots, they chew on it, they spit it in a bowl, they mix it with a little bit of like dirty river water or pond water. Now that water is not drinkable, but the saliva from their spit, it ferments the roots, it creates a substance which has a high alcohol percentage that kills the germs, and it's now drinkable. But they do not drink water. Now, I've tried chicha, and it's such a strange culture. It's, by the way, it's not something that you enjoy drinking, but to the Achuar, chicha is like a fine wine. Now, we may look at that and go, what? You're drinking the saliva of the womenfolk of the tribe? That's disgusting. But to the Achuar, what we drink, Coca-Cola, is probably even more disgusting. High fructose corn syrup, marketed as happiness in a red can. So when we look at another set of beliefs, we often label it as goofy or weird or disgusting. But our own beliefs, as bizarre as they are, we accept them as being true. You see, Paul Marston, famous scientist, said, rather than generating and having beliefs, emotions, and behaviors, social contagion research suggested in some very real sense these beliefs, emotions, and behaviors have us. In other words, your beliefs invade you, they infect you, and you come to normalize these beliefs. What beliefs are you carrying right now that actually don't serve you or make no sense? It's an interesting question. Now, the crazy thing is, when you flip these beliefs, incredible things happen. If you look at America right now, as I'm recording this, there's a range of like really bizarre conspiracy theories that have swept America. And the people who believe in these are not people who are uneducated. The beliefs have infected them. And because of this thing called social contagion, when one or two family members develop the belief, to fit into the tribe, we adopt the same belief. This is essentially how religions stay unchanged for thousands of years, and how conspiracy theories sometimes spread. But remember, when you are aware, you understand that these beliefs, you can swap out something that's no longer serving you and swap in something new. Your beliefs make you, but they are not you. Now, what happens when you change beliefs? Some pretty bizarre things that science cannot explain. So there's a hypnotherapist who did an interesting experiment. He hypnotized people to believe that they were sitting under the sun, getting a tan. In their minds, they genuinely believed that the sun was shining on them. What happened? Their skin got tanned. It's mind-blowing. But here's an even crazier study. A group of scientists wondered, why is it that hotel maids that they see are often fairly unfit, even though these maids lead very busy lives, going up and down stairs, flipping over mattresses. So they decided to try an experiment. They created a fake study where they had to interview the maids of a hotel to assess their productivity. But it really wasn't about productivity. They asked the maids questions about, the number of rooms that they were working on, the number of stairs they had to climb. And when the study was done, the fake study, the scientists would drop a simple belief trigger. They would say, oh my God, Matilda, or whatever the maid's name is, you are working out so much. You must be burning X number of calories. You must be really fit. That's it. That's all they did. 1 month later, these maids started losing weight. They came back and they measured the maids. They lost weight. Their cholesterol count was down. You see, these maids never really believed that what they were doing was exercise. It was just work. When a scientist, a guy in a coat, mentioned to them that what they were doing was healthy, their bodies started reacting appropriately. The maids' actual physiology transformed. A new belief was implanted in them. What beliefs, therefore, do we implant in our children? What beliefs were accidentally implanted in you? As Hariri said, this is why we can educate our children to become Christian or Buddhist, capitalist or socialist, warlike or peace-loving. We are malleable creatures with a large chunk of identity in the cognitive plane of beliefs. The unfortunate thing is this. What you know you believe is a tiny subset of what you don't know you believe. There are so many beliefs in your head that you don't know are there, but these beliefs could be holding you back. And we're going to show you in a moment how to basically slowly chip away with unhealthy beliefs that are holding you back. And it has to do with learning from the right mentors. More on that coming up. So, how do you upgrade beliefs? Well, remember, you can swap out an old belief, you can swap in a new belief. But one of the best ways to upgrade beliefs is to basically look at common models of reality, look at how conventional people are doing things, and ask yourself if they really work. Today, many of these things that just 10 years ago people accepted as being infallible, as being truth, today we don't really think of them as being true anymore. Calories have been completely debunked. Yes, you do not need a calorie tracker. Calories serve a purpose, but if you actually go deep into nutrition and eating, calories made up. Retirement, we now know that, sorry, we can't retire. We are going to have to figure out a way to earn a living well past so-called retirement age because human lifespans are increasing. Religion is increasingly being replaced with people who label themselves spiritual but not religious, or people who take on multiple religions. In my family, for example, we are Lutheran and Hindu. Aging. People are actually getting healthier and healthier and healthier as they get older due to advances in science, as well as advances in how we think about our health. University education, this is going to become very obsolete very, very, very soon. Google, for example, literally last week announced that it's now offering 6-month programs on things such as UX design. And if you complete one of these 6 months program, Google treats it the same way in the past it would have treated a 4-year degree. Universities are about to go through a massive disruption. But so as these old beliefs disappear, newer models are entering. Newer models that I've been fascinated by and I've learned from my mentors are human intuition. I now know that when I want to come up with a new app or a new business, I don't call for a boardroom meeting. I go into altered states of consciousness, sometimes using meditation, sometimes using plant medicine, and I download ideas. Guys, I kid you not. I just put $500,000 in an app that came to me, fully formed, while in a plant medicine ceremony, tapping into an altered state. And that app is going so successfully. Mind-body healing. I now combine mind-body healing with working with my doctor. Self-directed learning. I, at one point, dreamed about getting an MBA. Right now, I think it's an absolute waste. Instead, I go into self-directed learning. Work as passion. So many people are changing their definition of work. Spiritual but not religious. Many people are moving from mono-religion to embracing spirituality. So how do we learn these upgraded systems? Well, obviously, reading is a great thing, but there's one particular type of book that you want to read, autobiographies. Now, I use the word autobiographies, not biographies. Biographies are where a historian writes about someone, but you don't often learn about how that person thinks. But autobiographies, when it's coming from that person itself, like Steve Jobs. So Steve Jobs co-wrote his book with Walter Isaacson. Richard Branson. I actually spoke to Richard. He gave a series of interviews to his writer, and so it came straight from their soul, and it is laden with their models of reality. You can learn so much from Michelle Obama, from Akio Morita, who founded Sony. That book, Made in Japan, changed my life because I grew up in Asia. I wanted not just American role models, but Asian role models. And so autobiographies are amazing to read. And as we go further, I'm going to teach you how, as you read these autobiographies, how to rapidly integrate these ideas. So some of the ideas that I found to be emerging models of reality that I think more of us need to adopt and take on. And of course, we won't have time to go deep into this, but I want to just seed them so you can look into them on your own. Humanity Plus. Humanity Plus means building businesses that actually make the planet better off. Intuition, the idea that human intuition is real and we can use this at work. Growth as a goal, the idea that if you're an entrepreneur or you're a parent or you're in a relationship, the number one thing you should focus on is your self-evolution. And if you grow, everything else grows. Bending reality. I coined this word in my first book. It is the idea that our minds can influence the world. And as we change our beliefs, as we change our intention, we can introduce synchronicities, coincidences, other things that make life easier. So again, I could give a 1 hour talk in any of these things, but all of these I stumbled upon through accumulated conversations with different remarkable thinkers. And today I've adopted them into my life. And these 4 beliefs are probably the 4 most powerful beliefs that I think overall have transformed how I function. And they are a big part of what I teach. Now, you might have your own. And when you discover that, it is truly wonderful because you learn to step out of the culturescape and live life based on your terms. Human education has simply not caught up with all of these emerging models of human potential. If you go to university right now, you're looking at curriculums that were designed 10, 20 years ago. But knowledge is growing so fast, especially in the age of iPhones and the internet and now AR and VR, that education systems just can't keep up. So you want to pay attention to books. And the most important type of book for transformation are books on personal growth and human development. I created a program called Mindvalley Mentoring, where all of the mentors that I have access to as the founder of one of the world's biggest personal growth companies, I create 1 hour long training sessions with them, and I share this with my students. So my mentors become your mentors. If you're interested more about this later, but remember, to essentially transform, you got to change your hardware, change your beliefs, and install new apps or install new software. So we've spoken about understanding consciousness engineering, upgrading your models of reality. Now let's go to refreshing your systems for living. So we understand beliefs. Your systems of living are the way you show up and function in the world. They are the embodiment of your beliefs. So you can believe that you're an amazing entrepreneur. But if you're not actually out there building a company, applying the right tools, thinking like an entrepreneur, and if you don't have systems for that, it's not going to happen. So here are a couple of systems that people have been trained to adopt in their day-to-day life. Brushing your teeth, working out in the gym, counting calories, commuting. A lot of these systems at one point didn't exist. Did you know that brushing your teeth did not exist before 1920? It started because the US Army issued a memo, an alert, because so many American soldiers had rotten teeth. And a company, I can't remember the name of the company, a toothpaste company, created a campaign on brushing your teeth. That campaign was so successful. 20 years later, all Americans brushed, and the philosophy spread everywhere. Counting calories has pretty much been debunked in health and nutrition right now. Commuting. Okay, this is an interesting one. When COVID-19 hit the world, a lot of people began to realize that they no longer need to commute to work, that you can work from home. New systems emerged around all of these. These are emerging systems that have gotten really popular in the Mindvalley community. Meditation, gratitude, blisscipline, which is the practice of maintaining your bliss. This involves gratitude practices. It involves supplements like 5-HTP. It's basically on watching your emotions so you're always at a peak state. The 3 most important questions. This is a simple system that I created to ensure people are following goals that come from their soul rather than goals from the culturescape. All of these systems are going to be available for you if you want to go later, but so don't worry about understanding each of these. I'm simply giving you an overview and a framework. It is so important that you understand that you must constantly refresh your systems for living, because new ideas, new models, new systems are being created all the time. Ken Wilber, the great American philosopher and one of my mentors, said, humanity is flying way under its full potential simply because we do not educate for the whole or complete human being. We educate for just a small part, a slice, a fragment of just what's possible for us. Because according to the great wisdom traditions around the world, not only do humans possess typical states of consciousness like waking, dreaming, or deep sleep, they also possess profoundly high states of consciousness like enlightenment or awakening, and none of our education systems teach any of that. Now, all of these factors I've mentioned, none of these are rare, isolated, esoteric, far out, strange, or partial of human beings everywhere. They are simply Human 101. Yet we don't educate Human 101. We educate something like Human 110. So yes, I firmly believe that we can bring about health on this planet for the planet and the humans in it if we started educating for the whole person with all their fundamental potentials and capacities and skills, and stop this fragmented, partial, broken system that we have now. This is Ken Wilber, America's greatest philosopher. We need to start educating for Human 101. And this is what Mindvalley is about. This is basically what my mission is about. And this is what I want you to pay attention to. So, a key idea. What's your refresh rate? Your refresh rate is a concept I introduced, and it simply means how often do you refresh your beliefs? So, I'll give you an example of refresh rate. I used to go to the gym 3 times a week. And for years, I was working out in the same way. Finally, I'm like, I want to get more out of my workouts. I want to transform my health better. And what I started doing was every 1 out of every 10 gym sessions, rather than go to the gym, I would spend that hour reading a book on the latest science of workouts, or I would hire the best workout coach I could get, or I would find an incredible mentor. I found one mentor who introduced me to super slow strength training, and it transformed me. It 10x my workout, and I understood, I understood that the way I'd been working out before was completely wrong. But I never would have refreshed the way I worked out if I didn't carve out time for my refresh rate. So you can adopt the same principle at work. In Mindvalley, we have a rule called 45-5, which means that you're expected to work 45 hours a week, but 5 of those hours of those 45, you must be investing in your growth. If you're in customer support, read books about customer service. If you're a programmer, program for 40 hours, but at least 5 hours, learn new models of programming. 45-5, refresh rate, all of these help you grow like never before. So now we've covered understanding consciousness engineering, upgrading your models of reality, refreshing your systems for living. Now let's go on to how to continuously upgrade your models and systems. And I want to share with you what I did. In 2008, when I suddenly found myself, I lost my US visa and I was in Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia, running an American company with no mentors, with no one to help me. I had to innovate like really fast. And so I accidentally stumbled upon brain exchanges. I told you the story of how, but here's how you do a brain exchange. You need to find out what is a skill, what is a service that you can serve to the world. And the best part about brain exchanges is they happen on Skype, they happen on Zoom, and right now so many people are communicating online. It's so easy. What is something that you can give? Maybe it's something it's really small, right? In my case, it was the ability to build a website. Maybe you know a little bit about digital marketing. Maybe you're an expert at Instagram advertising. Maybe you know a bit about photography. Maybe you're really great at writing. Find someone whom you can trade skills with and take on a new skill. So I started out, as I told you, exchanging website production for digital marketing. I then remember I needed to figure out how to write marketing emails. I managed to get one of the top email marketing guys on a call with me to teach me. And what I showed him was basically how to hire. He didn't know how to hire. At that point, I developed a competency for HR, for hiring. So I spent an hour teaching him the nuances of hiring talent, how to create a compelling job ad. He showed me how to master email copywriting. Today, I have 3.5 million people on my email list. When you learn from experts, you learn really fast. Now, as I started growing, I gained the ability to get more and more bigger experts on calls. This is, for example, me with Sean Aker, the famous Harvard researcher who wrote the book, The Happiness Advantage. So you can see these calls are not formal, they are not fancy. It's basically just on a webcam. I had this conversation with Sean in 2015 and it changed my life and it changed my company culture. And I also went on to get people like the late legendary feminist and philosopher Barbara Marx Hubbard on a call. And this was really touching. This was a few months before she passed away. John DeMartini, the famous teacher, author. Neil Donald Walsh, who was my favorite author. And you know what? Neil turned me down the first time I asked him to get on a call with me. He wrote the famous Conversations with God book series. Don't let that stop you. 8 years later, he got on that call with me, and I learned so much from him. And it was mind-blowing, and we became friends. Now, as I started doing these calls, I started recording them because I would record them, share them with friends, and my friends would tell me that these conversations were so powerful. They were changing lives. So I created a product around it. I called it Consciousness Engineering, and we later changed the name to Mindvalley Mentoring. And many of these calls transformed the way I showed up in life. Michael Beckwith changed my worldview in so many ways. Today, he's the most cited teacher in my latest book, The Buddha and the Badass. Joe Vitale showed me so much about manifesting. Emily Fletcher showed me so much about meditation. And as these Skype calls got more and more advanced, I started recording them in studio settings. That's me with one of the co-founders of Zumba, who spoke about branding. That's me with Dave Asprey. You can see the remarkable set. Before we filmed in the set, Lady Gaga had used it for a music video. So you can create your brain exchanges as well. Now, you don't have to commercialize it and turn it into a product. You don't need a fancy set. Start the way I did, with a simple Zoom call. That is the first step. This is how you do a brain exchange. Now, how do you find these people? This is where the second piece comes in, networking. All the people I found from my brain exchange came from networking. So I would make an effort from the time I was just starting out to sign up for networking groups. You could join Toastmasters, you could join Entrepreneurs Org. There are so many networking groups. I just moved to a new city, Tallinn, Estonia. First thing I did is I sought out a networking group for founders and startup entrepreneurs, and I sent in an application. Join networking groups. And already from that networking group, so I joined the Estonian Founders Society. I'm in Estonia right now. I wanted to understand how to automate customer support using AI. I found the guy who's going to show me how. I wanted to figure out how to offer a checkout on my shopping cart where we could allow customers to pay in euros. I don't know how to do that. I found a guy. All from this networking group. You want to find networking groups. Now, no matter what level you're at in your career, there's a networking group for you, even if you're just starting out. When I was just starting out, I actually got to join a networking group called the Transformational Leadership Council. Well, actually, I didn't get to join. I was invited to speak. I developed at that point a skill in Twitter and Facebook. And this was 2009, January 2009. And the woman next to me is the amazing speaker, Lisa Nichols. So at this point, I went to the founder of the group and I said, social media is a really big skill right now. Your group has many incredible authors. I'd love to come, and at no cost, I will give a presentation on using Twitter and Facebook. I got to give that presentation. You can see how old this is from how different the Mindvalley logo is. And I got to befriend Lisa Nichols. She became like an elder sister to me. She became a mentor to me. Lisa Nichols taught me how to speak. And when I launched my first seminar several years later, she spoke on stage. Now, at that same group, I got to meet people like this, Robin Sharma, Brendan Burchard. They inspired me. At that point, I was just starting out in my career. I'd never thought I could be an author, but as a result of being able to join this group, and remember, I had to give away my skill. I spoke for free, but I got the right connections. 6 years later, I would be an author on my own right. My book would hit the New York Times. And 6 years later, it was 2015, I was invited to join the group as an official member. And that's really how networking is. I'm not saying it's easy. You have to start somewhere. You have to be humble. You got to give your skill. You got to serve, but you work your way up. Now, as I worked my way up, I started joining bigger and bigger networking groups. This is the X Prize Foundation. This is a group where you get to network with some of the foremost scientists and engineers in America who are shaping our future. That's me in Arizona, and what we are visiting there are factories that are actually creating parts for rockets and private space travel. That's me in front of Virgin Galactic. That's with Peter Diamandis, the guy who privatized space travel, Anusha Ansari, the first Muslim woman in space, Iran's first astronaut. And I got to learn from these people. Now, how did I join this networking group? It was freaking expensive. The only way to join this group is to make a donation, because X Prize functions as a charity to solve problems related to climate change and education. The donation, $150,000 a year for 5 years. That's a lot of money. At this point, I could afford it, but I was spending $150,000 in this networking group. But look, the first networking groups I joined were free. I stress that to show you how valuable networking is and how much it's worth. Recently, this was last year, I got to network on Necker Island with a group of incredible entrepreneurs where we got mentored by Richard Branson. A networking group like that is in the range of $40,000 to $50,000 for 4 to 5 days. It's expensive. Why do I do it? Because it reshapes my models of reality. Being in the presence of a man like Branson reshapes how you think. That is how valuable models of reality, upgrading your models of reality and your systems of living are. And so you want to invest in networking groups. Now, some of you who might join Mindvalley Mentoring should know that in Mindvalley Mentoring, I actually got an incredible networker, Larry Benet, to teach me the art of connecting with influential people. And so you can learn, you don't just join a networking group, you want to learn how to connect, how to be authentic, how to strike up conversations, how to actually create that bond where you can serve someone and you can also learn from them. There's an art to that as well. Some of you may decide to join Mindvalley Mentoring, our program where we give you a complete mentoring process, and you will learn how to connect and how to network in that itself. So $150,000 a year is how much I spend on networking. And I can tell you it's worth every dime. But for you, it doesn't have to be that way. You can join many local networking groups for absolutely free. Look up a networking group in your local city for designers, for writers, for whatever it is you do. And remember, today, increasingly many networking groups are moving online. So let's summarize the steps to accelerating transformation. Understand consciousness engineering. Continuously upgrade your models of reality. Refresh your systems of living. Create brain exchanges and create a learning network. Form and join networking groups. Oh, but we're not done yet. Now let's talk about getting to the next level. And this is the part where it gets kind of mind-blowing for many people, because what you're about to see here is stuff that many people have never seen. A lot of what I'm going to share with you now is completely new. But first, let's do a quick recap. And I want you to answer and acknowledge, do you understand the importance of upgrading your models of reality? Do you understand why beliefs matter, why beliefs shape your world, and why you need to take responsibility over the beliefs that you have taken on, and to swap out beliefs that no longer serve you and to swap in empowering beliefs? Do you understand how to expand your education by refreshing your systems of living? Do you understand that education doesn't teach you how to get healthier, how to be in better relationships, how to pursue your dreams, how to live life from a place of bliss and happiness? That has to fall in your hands, and you have to seek the right training to get you there. Do you understand how to use brain exchanges to access people so you can get these models and get these systems and learn from them? And do you understand the importance of networking so you can find the people to do these brain exchanges with in the first place? Now, let's go on to some advanced techniques. So here's it. Would you like access to my network and my brain exchanges and have this entire system of personal transformation set up for you? Now, let me be clear. What I'm literally talking about here is that would you like access to all of the mentors that I have been working with who have transformed me? Would you like access to all of this wisdom? And I don't mean just giving you a recording of a phone call. What I mean is that actually distilling it into its core components, creating a system where you can integrate it with your life, and also getting access to local networks and networks that can help enrich how you're growing. What I'd like to introduce you to is a program called Mindvalley Mentoring. Now, I launched Mindvalley Mentoring in its early form. It was called Consciousness Engineering way back in 2015. It quickly became the highest rated program on Mindvalley. It is the summaries and the digest of all these incredible conversations with great mentors. There are men and women here who have done things that most people never dream of. But in each of these conversations, there's that consciousness engineering framework. I extract their models of reality and I extract their systems of living and I present it to you and show you how to integrate it in your life. I want to actually give you a quick tour. Let me show you what this looks like. What you're seeing over here is the platform. This is it on the desktop. Okay, you can see amazing conversations. And this one over here, is Vision's Optimized Morning Routine. This is an example of special sessions I do where I summarize everything for you. And you can scroll down, you can see all the various episodes. So many remarkable episodes from an incredible range of teachers. These teachers have transformed my life, and each of these episodes is under 90 minutes. The average length is about 50 minutes. They are super action-packed. You can listen to them both ways on a commute, or you can listen to them as you're jogging or running or working out, or just watch them on your TV. They are so interesting to watch. Now, this is one of the sessions that changed my life. I was in a cafe in Tallinn, Estonia 2 weeks ago, and a guy stopped me and he's like, "Are you Vision?" And I'm like, "Yes. And nice to meet you." And he said that this episode with Morty Lefko changed his life. And I'm so proud of some of these sessions because, well, Morty gave me this session a few months before he died of cancer. He was a remarkable man. And this particular session is really on hacking beliefs.
I showed up late, and my friend was really
And so you can see what you're seeing over here is the introduction to the session. And I want to show you what it actually looks like. You can see that some of these were filmed quite a while back.
Fear of public speaking.
So let me show you. This is the earliest version of it. Back then, it was.
Hi Morty, how are you today?
So this is what it looks like. It was basically a Zoom call, but then.
To meet Morty and his one.
But you'll notice from the way I talk to Morty, that's where the power is. I'm deconstructing his models of reality and his systems for living. Morty, by the way, is an incredible belief hacker who teaches you how to untangle beliefs out of your head. Now, the sessions got more complex. This one with Michael Beckwith on the Friendly Universe. This one changed my life, and ideas from this session ended up in my best-selling book. But then as we got further, as this program got more developed, the sessions got even more advanced. This is what filming looks like now. The incredible sets, the framing. It's now more like Netflix.
Welcome to the set, Dave Asprey.
Vision, I'm so happy to be here for you.
This one is amazing. This one is on the world's foremost biohacker. Dave Asprey literally coined the term biohacking. And this particular session is on how to live to be 180. There's so much crazy science here that most people are not aware of. Now, this session is another one that's transformative. I wanted to show you this so you know the level of people who are on here. This is frickin' Peter Diamandis. He created private space travel.
It's easy to do that.
He created private space travel. Fortune magazine named him one of the top 40 greatest leaders of our era. And some of these sessions, again, sometimes the mentors are so good, I go back to them. This is with Michael Beckwith. This is more profound wisdom from him, but you can see
based on external
the advancement in the filming. Now you'll notice ratings, so you'll see only 16 ratings. We actually have 20,000 members, but we just launched a rating feature. So only a few people have started rating yet. But the ratings feature helps you figure out how powerful these sessions are. This was our audience favorite session from 2019. This was on a concept called The Cure for Loneliness. And this is with the woman who founded Daybreakers, the highly successful morning dance party, Radha Agrawal. She's a genius. And so these sessions are just mind-blowing in so many ways. And they have the capacity to change your life. This is why there are so many stories. These are all students who have written in with their stories of how Mindvalley mentoring has changed their life. Hundreds upon hundreds upon hundreds of stories. This is all live on the web. Stories.mindvalley.com. Search for mentoring. You can go through this. So no joke, these are all people who are raving that this is some of the best education that they have ever had. But again, that's only the beginning. We are not just satisfied with giving you access to content. Remember, I said the key is brain exchanges and networking groups. So what I want to show you is the next thing we built. And this is new. It's called the Connections app, and you can download it from the App Store, Connections by Mindvalley. And if you have Mindvalley Mentoring, you can open this app, and I'm going to give you a tour because this is crazy. This is where you get to connect with the community and attend live Zoom lessons. You can post on that wall. So you can see live calls. So these are set like mentoring episodes, but they are live. You can reach out and give a friend request to someone else. So let's look at Luenia. Okay, so you can see each person's bio, their profile. You can see what programs they're studying, and you can reach out and connect with them. This is how you network. Now, we're going to be deploying so many new live trainings on here. Gary Vaynerchuk is going to be on. And you get to actually join these trainings live. So sometimes it's recorded, sometimes it's live. So all you got to do is create your profile, And you create a personal profile on your hobbies, your passions, and a work profile, and you're good to go. But there's some really cool stuff here. I'm searching for dancer. So you can search by occupation. You can see everyone else here who's a professional dancer if you're looking for something in that field. Now, I recently was looking for an AI specialist. So I typed in machine learning. Machine learning is a form of artificial intelligence. And I found people who were into artificial intelligence. That first guy, Sean Bater, he's now joined our team. And Sean is helping apply AI to this app to better match you with people. So see, you instantly have a network. Now, this is the best part. I'm in Tallinn, Estonia. I can see local members. So you have the option to make yourself available. These are all members who are available now for coffee or for a meetup. You can literally meet local members, and you can use this app to create your own events and get people together in a cafe or get people together for a meetup. I kid you not, that is happening now. But it's not just using this, so you can post your own events on this app. So for example, now not only do you learn from my mentoring, but you have a chance to teach. Anyone can go and create an event, tie it to your Zoom account, and invite other guests. So these are all events. I just opened up the app today. These are events happening literally in the next few days, August 24, 25, and 26. There's a guy who's going to be teaching Qigong, another person who's teaching on improving your intuition, another person teaching on deep connection and authentic networking. I'm going to move so you can see the slide. This is real, folks. So what this means is, let's say you are a YouTube advertising specialist and you think, okay, maybe somebody might benefit from my knowledge and I'll make a few friends. You can go and teach directly now on our app. And so, yes, I'm going to be bringing you great minds, but you get to participate, you get to teach. And the best sessions, we make you official and we put you on the Mindvalley platform. So this is why this is so exciting. Now, what do you think all of this would be? Remember, you're getting access to all of my mentoring sessions, and the day you join, 100 classes are available to you. And then you join the app, and the day you join, the entire network is available to you. Remember, I paid $150,000 a year to be part of the X Prize network. It was a donation to a charity, so it's money well spent. But that's how valuable networking groups are. What do you think this is? When I show people what they're getting, typically people think it's $15,000 a year. Well, it's not. Nor is it $1,500. Nor is it $500. It's $199 a year. That's it, guys. It's $199 a year. Now, let me tell you why. It's valued. The value of this is probably close to $5,000 a year. I promise you, the value you get, if you look at the stories, it's $5,000 a year. I mean, just look at the sheer number of case studies and stories, the sheer value that you are getting. All of these are just remarkable, real stories of people whose life have changed from this. But the reason this is $199 a year is really simple. Networks are more powerful the more people you have on. So right now, we want to get 100,000 people on. And so we already have, the price is really $1,650 a month. $199 a year adds up to $1,650 a month. We have 20,000 members. And now we want to grow that. Now, not all 20,000 are on the Connection app yet. We literally just launched the app. It's going live really soon. Sorry, it has launched. We have 400 members on, more are coming on. It launched a few days ago. But we're going to get tens of thousands of members on the Connection app. And so the strength of a network is N square. It's the number of users or nodes square. So the more people you have, the more value it is for everyone. And that's why we make it so affordable. Even though this is so valuable, we make it so affordable because we want to get a lot of people on. Will the price go up in the future? Definitely. Definitely. But whatever you subscribe to now, you lock in. And you lock in for good. All you got to do is scroll down below this video where you're watching the masterclass to enroll. All the information is on the page. Let's go back to the multiple stories that are available. There are so many incredible stories over here. Let's look at this one over here, okay? What she's saying is such profound work goes into Mindvalley. And she's talking about how this has just completely transformed her. She's talking about, she came across she calls it CE, our community calls it CE for consciousness engineering, one consciousness engineering with Mike Dooley, and that transformed her life. It just changed her. She said, my life, happiness, Check this out. My life, happiness, consciousness, growth, and healing continue to expand at such a rapid level. I'm now excited once again where my future will take me. And you can see there are many other stories. Let's look at this one, okay, by Natalia Gubina. So Natalia, and I recognize her, she's in the Connection app. She said, she's talking about Sonia Choquette's episode. I love how she explains and shows real techniques. Christy Marie Sheldon gave me interesting instruments for clearing. Vision really makes a great recap. This is how you learn, and it again has completely transformed her. She also went to speak about how Tom Cronin's meditation episode changed her life, how Robert Riopel's money mindset is amazing. This episode will make you back the $199 you put into this in the first 3 to 4 weeks. So it's a remarkable episode. And again, you can keep scrolling. Let's look at more stories. There are so many powerful stories over here. I don't even know where to begin. But feel free to check this out yourself, stories.mindvalley.com. Atin Gupta says, I listen to this on a daily basis. It's a daily ritual. Now, the most amazing story, I have to find it, but the most amazing story is a guy who was a coach, and he basically decided to bring this to his entire team and transformed the way the team showed up. And other amazing stories are where people have brought this to their company. They've literally used this to transform their company. They've enrolled people in mass in Mindvalley mentoring. When you enroll, and you can scroll down below to see an order menu where you can enroll. When you enroll, you have an option to enroll your entire company if you think this is going to serve them. So again, powerful, powerful, powerful stuff. Let's go on to the rest. Now, let's do a quick recap. How it works. Brain exchanges. Instantly access a backlog of over 100 episodes on the app. New trainings are released every month, and some trainings come with live workshops. Number 2, watch on any platform. What this means is you can watch this on your desktop, on your iPhone. It's going to be coming to Apple TV soon too. And this is how the networking utility works. You want to download Connections by Mindvalley. It's in the Google Play and the Apple App Store. Create a profile, browse live trainings, click RSVP to attend the trainings you want to attend, connect with other members and make friends, and network with people in your local area. So all you got to do to get started, scroll down below this video, click enroll. And I'm going to take you through the entire process soon. And when you do, after you do, create an account. It's super easy. And then go to Google Play or Apple Store, and you have to download 2 apps. The first app is for learning. That's called Mindvalley. This is what it looks like on Google Play. And the second app is Connections by Mindvalley. This is the app for the networking. So on the learning app, that's where you watch the episodes. And on the Connections app, that's where you connect with people. And the Connections app is the one that's new. We just launched this. So I want to go a little bit further into a couple of things to pay attention to. Number 1, there's a lot of live events on this Connection app. Just in the next 2 weeks from the time I'm recording this right now, Gary Vaynerchuk will be coming live. Gerard Adams, who founded Elite Daily, is coming on to teach the art of starting a company in this economy. There are classes on breathwork. Sahara Rose is doing a class on finding your Dharma. It's in a wide range of topics. But again, it's interactive. When you join live, you get to interact with these speakers live, but you also get to create your own networking events. These are all actual pictures of networking events that have happened in Tallinn, Estonia. You'll see I'm in one of that picture, in Copenhagen, in Santa Monica. These are members on the app creating these events. Now, you've learned a lot about the features. Let's talk about what you're going to learn. I want to show you a couple of incredible models of reality and systems of living which are contained in these episodes. And I want to give you a teaser, a nugget, so you know just how transformative it is. Any single one of these episodes, I promise you, is worth the entire $199. But you're getting 100 episodes. The first one, one of the most powerful ones, this pulled me out of a huge period of sadness, is basically an episode on how to magnify your self-esteem and self-worth. This is by Kamal Ravikant, who wrote the book Love Yourself Like Your Life Depended on It. Powerful stuff. From this episode, The Power Pause, I learned how to move into a state of surrender. Surrender is a concept used in manifesting where you create absolute trust And when you put something out there, you move into a state of surrender, and it amplifies the odds of it coming to you. This episode is powerful. This is by Christy Marie Sheldon. This one is on shifting your spiritual energy to remove beliefs that are hidden but holding you back. This one has had incredible results for people. This one is by Ken Wilber himself. Remember that quote I shared by Ken Wilber on the state of modern education? It's from this episode. That's how profound this stuff is. There's about 8 hours of Ken Wilber in this, and he will blow your mind. This episode changed my definition of work-life balance. I used to feel so guilty working long hours out of passion, but not having time for my kids. This episode showed me that work, life, it's all one, and it should be called living. And there's a way to create powerful balance. In fact, the concept of work-life balance is something you'll toss out of the window after this episode. This one changed the way I parent my kids. This one changed the way I set intentions. Joe Vitale, powerful. This is one of our highest rated episodes. He talks about creating from the soul. This one by Lisa Nichols. The story behind this episode is wild. So it's called How to Move People with Your Story. After I interviewed Lisa, it was in Costa Rica. I had to get on stage. And I'd been a speaker at that point for many years. But that stage event I did was my highest rated speech in history. That is how powerful this episode is. This episode changed my relationship with my television set. I used to think watching TV was bad. Turns out if you have a male brain, watching TV can actually make you hyperproductive the next day. You'll understand the brain chemistry that's taking place here. This episode by Sean Aker introduced a 21-day ritual to my company. We just completed it now again. And it just massively transforms company culture, and it transforms revenue, and it transforms productivity. This episode transformed my body. This one is 90 minutes. This is where I bring in the revolutionary fitness instructor who transformed workouts for me by applying the science of super slow strength training. Now when you go to the gym, it's not 3 hours a week. You can get the same results and this is going to sound crazy, but watch the episode and decide for yourself. In 15 minutes, if you do the Big 5 exercise in a super slow method, using the principles in this episode, such as chasing the pain and the 90-second rule. This episode ended all my excuses for being lonely. Ideas from this episode sparked me creating the Connection app, which you're getting access to. Not only am I less lonely, but all of you never have to worry about loneliness again. This one, game changer. It changed the way I showed up at work. This is by the founder of Google X. This one shows you how to just shift your belief system like a pro. This one showed you the power of emotions in manifesting your dreams. Mike Dooley is an incredible teacher. And Peter Diamandis teaches you how to be a visionary. Sonia Choquette, you saw a person mention this episode on the testimonial. This one shows you how to instantly activate intuition so you can make right decisions fast. It takes about 1 minute. 1 minute to apply once you learn it. But think about how much your life is going to change when you can directly ask any question to your soul. Should I move to a new city? Should I be with this person? And get that instant reply. This episode is about how to be a badass and push through suffering. This episode by Jay Shetty changed my social media presence. I was hardly on social media. Following this episode, I hit 1 million fans. Now I'm closer to 2 million. This one transformed my body. I showed you the body transformation. It was this guy. This one transformed my relationship with negative emotions and how I deal with the loss of a loved one. And every now and then, I digest episodes and I create these integrated approaches. So this is where I take ideas from the different teachers and I give you my morning routine. And there's an introductory episode where I'm going to go deeper. This is about an hour long. I'm going to go deeper into consciousness engineering. This one is done on a beautiful film set, not a webinar. I'm going to go deeper. Half of it you've already learned here in this masterclass, but I'm going to unravel the other stuff. And because love and sexuality are such taboo topics, and we don't want to rule out the taboo, there's a series of episodes on enhancing your love life. Category 13 by John and Missy Butcher, the founders of Lifebook, is fascinating. It's fascinating. It is how this remarkable couple has been able to stay in the honeymoon period for 33 years. You will learn about conscious sexuality, healing monogamy. Some of these are highly controversial and will rub some people the wrong way. But this is available for you as well. When you get access to mentoring, you get access to not just all our episodes, but you get access to a special channel called R-rated episodes. You only get access to this if you subscribe and you're over 18. And finally, we just introduced live workshops. So our latest episodes, how to create a cult brand with Jeffrey Perlman. Jeffrey created Zumba, which is a household brand in America, a remarkable company, and it's worth hundreds of millions. And he's going to actually come live on Zoom and take you through a branding workshop really soon. It's happening in 2 weeks. So he's going to take you through a live branding workshop to create your personal brand or a brand for your product. This episode alone could be worth millions to you. All of that for $199. The biggest thing I hear people say is that I can't believe it's this much value. Well, I explained to you, we want to build a massive network. We're building a private network of people who are just crazy passionate about learning. And so think about the people whom you're going to meet in this network. It's a lot of incredible people. And there are also some bonuses. If 100 episodes aren't enough, well, I'm also, as a thank you for investing the last hour with me, I'm going to give you the upgrade free. So there's an upgrade for mentoring. It was called Mentoring at Work, and typically you had to pay an extra $199 for the upgrade. Just going to include it free right now for those of you watching this masterclass. We don't know how long we're going to do this, so act now, like don't wait, seriously. Mentoring at Work is around 50 episodes now, and this is not hosted by me. This is hosted by my co-host, Jason Campbell. And these are on smaller issues, but important issues. This is about showing up as your best self at work. We spend 70% of our waking hours at work. What if we could improve our productivity by 15, 20, 30%? It's going to affect your career. It's going to affect the growth of your business. It's going to transform your life. This is where you learn all of these different tools, everything from how to manage better, how to lead better, how to optimize your rate of getting things done, how to connect with your team members, how to ask for a raise. And honestly, you can try this out at no risk. You're protected. One of the reasons that has allowed Mindvalley to grow the way we have is that we keep things really, really, really open, really fair. If at any point you feel this isn't for you, go to mindvalley.com/refund and give yourself a refund. You can cancel your own subscription. You don't have to write an email. You don't have to pick up a phone. Go to mindvalley.com/refund, click and give yourself a refund. And that's it. Scroll down below, guys. Get busy on this. This is going to be transformative. Now, some of you might want to take the upgrade. When you scroll down on the page below, you'll see a full description of Mindvalley Mentoring. You'll read about the Connect app. You'll see some sample episodes. Not sample episodes, but you'll see the covers of what's there. But you'll also notice an option for $599 a year to join Mindvalley All Access. Let me tell you what All Access is. All Access is where everything in Mindvalley, not just mentoring, but all our programs are open to you. Mindvalley has 40 of the world's top transformative programs. We call them Quests. These are 30-day programs, and they help you develop a super memory, or they help you optimize your biology, or they help you become more conscious, or they improve your relationships, and they're all with leading class experts. I want to show you what Mindvalley All Access looks like, because it is a powerful tool for you. So Mindvalley All Access is actually more popular than mentoring because it's such a great deal. Around 3 times as many people are in All Access as mentoring. All Access simply means you're paying a little bit more, but you're getting access to transformative curriculums by all of these remarkable teachers. We have 10, it says 8 here, but we are about to hit 10,000 stories this week. It's used by many schools, many companies. It is the most advanced learning platform on the planet at this point. And it comes with an assessment. It comes with an app. There are communities, obviously, and it is just remarkable. It's used by just the most extraordinary people, including many celebrities, and it is just powerful. But it's $599 a year. All of Mindvalley programs, all of these programs are open to you instantly. So you can sign up for any Mindvalley 30-day program, from Robin Sharma's program to Stephen Kotler's program to Michael Beckwith's program. So mentoring is 1 hour. And 1 hour is great. If you want to learn, if you want to basically learn healthy eating, that's an hour, right? It's an hour to understand what to look for. If you want to transform your biology and never ever crave sugar again, that might take a little bit longer. So if you want to learn a powerful leadership hack to boost happiness of your team, you can learn that in 1 hour from Sean Aker. You want to become the ultimate leader, you'd probably join the Keith Ferrazzi program on Mindvalley, a 30-day program. And so that's the difference between the 1 hour programs on mentoring and these 30-day journeys. The 30-day journeys are for deeper transformations. One of our most popular is super reading. Super reading, we've done this study over and over and over again. In 3 weeks, you boost your reading speed by 270%. That's it. So 270% is huge. That means you're reading roughly 3 times the number of books you were reading before. And that's what Quest gives you. So most people join this. This is also on the Connection app. But when you join this, you join an even higher level network. So there are 2 networks, people who are just in mentoring and people who go for all access. Just in mentoring is $199 a year. All access is $599 a year. The all access network is 3 times bigger, which means you have 3 times as many people to connect with, 3 times as many events, 3 times as many friends. It is definitely worth it. The majority of people choose this option, again, for the value of money. And it's some crazy powerful stuff. I cannot wait to get you on this. And the best part about this is we are in connection. If you join Mindvalley All Access, we are on Zoom calls. I have these open live Zoom calls with our All Access community pretty much every week or other week. Okay, let's go back. So at this point, I know you are pretty excited to join. I cannot wait to see you in Mindvalley Mentoring. And I'd love to answer some of your biggest questions. Scroll down, click enroll, join, and here are some of the biggest questions we get. First question is this seems really overwhelming. Where do I start? So if you want to know where to start, the first thing is to understand where in your life you might be falling behind. We give you access to a quiz. You can take it at life.mindvalley.com. And the quiz will help you figure out what are the areas of your life where you might be falling behind. Maybe you're really crushing it at work, but your health is collapsing. Or maybe you are in peak health, but you're broke. Or maybe your relationships are thriving. But deep down inside, you feel that something is missing. We want to get you complete again. And so this assessment helps you see where you might need help, and you can go straight to the mentoring episodes that deliver that. So it's not really that overwhelming. Many people who get so hooked in it, they start listening to 1 episode a day. And these episodes are really entertaining, really, really, really entertaining. It's like watching something on Netflix. Even the ones on Skype, right, which are the older ones. The quality is a little bit fuzzy because it's a webcam, but it's not about the quality, it's about the quality of the content. It transforms you. And actually, the funniest thing is that the biggest excitement we get is really the Connection app. We have these Zoom, it's almost like Zoom parties, and 1,000+ people show up sometimes. And so we just had one with the co-founder of Google X, and we discussed how humanity can avert global warming. Can avert climate change. And it turns out that we can restore our air to pre-industrial age levels for about 500 billion. And it has to do with exponential technologies. It was just mind-blowing. 600 people showed up for this topic. And it was just such a powerful community coming together, which is why I'm so excited about this program. And I cannot wait to see you on. You and I will likely connect on the app, or we will connect on Telegram. The app is powered by Telegram, and anyone can message me directly. Or I might see you at a network group. When I travel around the world, I show up at these gatherings. That's a lot to cover in a masterclass. I cannot wait to see you in Mindvalley Mentoring. Thank you for staying with me thus far. And scroll down below, enroll, and I'll see you in our app.